Hello, my name is Samuel Warwick. I have autism. The entertainment industry has been a huge part of my childhood. So, by being inspired to see other entertainment podcasters interviewing other people from television shows, I decided to do one myself. To know about some funny behind the scenes, bloopers, and some stuff that we probably didn't know about while they were making the certain type of show. This is Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick. Let's go to the podcast now. Alright, well hello there everybody. Welcome back to our 18th episode of Entertainment Treasure Talk
Number
with
18.
Samuel Warwick, where we dig up we dig up treasure all the way from nostalgia all the way till the days of, awesome entertainment. I am your host, as always, Samuel Warwick, and here with me I have at least three people with me, co-host with me. I have Wyatt McCullough, I have Alex,
Thank you,
and Martin Krebs. How are you three doing?
Hello.
Goody.
I'm doing good.
All right, well,
Oh, and happy Halloween.
Yeah, happy Halloween. It won't be
Happy
Halloween.
Halloween. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're recording this on Halloween, so it's very great. Let's hope that my system doesn't go crazy here, hopefully. And if it does, I'll just come back in and we'll just do if we have technical difficulties. But yeah. But before I get into it, I guess I want to just say I'm sorry for not, getting a lot of interviews. It's really hard to get people. People are busy, and it's very hard to get people. But I'm glad that we're able to get some here today. So, may I just ask, Wyatt, who do we have for our guest today?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to. Do you want me to interview him or can
Thank you. Today's guest is a puppeteer. He's worked on a lot of projects, like the Muppet movie.
All right.
What?
I think looking at everyone here on camera, I think my last name should be Brady. Because that way I can go like this. I've always wanted to do that.
So
he wants to go by Brady for so many projects. Here he is, Tim Barnes. How are you today?
I'm well. Happy Halloween, everyone. My
Happy
favorite
Halloween.
day, my favorite holiday of the year.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like
This is a nice new way to celebrate.
It is. It is a good way to celebrate
It is a good
if
way to
there's
do
people
this
that don't
today.
celebrate it, come on in.
And thank you for inviting me on. This is only the second podcast I've done.
Oh,
You're welcome.
And
thank
so I'm
you.
very flattered that you found me. I'm not sure how you found me or why, but
I think
Instagram.
I know how I found you. It was through Threads, because you followed me originally. And I'm like, I gotta look this guy up. And I follow you on Instagram.
oh, okay.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's
right.
that's pretty much how how Wyatt found you, and it's very nice that we're able to do this today. Like I said, it's always nice. But anyway, if I may ask you, like we always ask our guests, we like to have our guests, start with their origin story. How did you first start getting into, puppetry?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Easy question to ask, lifetime to answer. Long story short, my mother was very artistic, and I was very close with my mom. And she was not a puppeteer. She didn't really know anything about puppetry. But she was, as an artist, she was good enough to be a commercial artist. She just didn't pursue it professionally. And so imagination, storytelling, music, television, books, all that stuff was encouraged and supported to us kids. I'm the middle of three children.
Oh, wow.
The other two didn't pursue that and didn't do much with their lives. And so as a result, my mom supported using your imagination and storytelling and putting on shows and arts and crafts. And as I got older, I decided I wanted to do something in the creative field. What that meant, I didn't know. And it took a long time to a lot of dead ends to try different things, acting and fine art and all that kind of stuff, and to gradually find out what I was good at and what I enjoyed doing and what came easily to me to the point where I could get behind it and hopefully be really good at it. Acting and other things I was just struggling with, and I had really no interest in that. So it was kind of a lot of dead ends, and a little bit of encouragement. So that's
Hey,
more or less how I wound up in it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome. That is really cool.
Well, my mom was pretty awesome, I'll tell you.
There you go.
She wound up being a single mom, 3 kids, not a good situation for us at all. I mean, no money. We were pretty much homeless for a time, and she overcame all of that, and she really stepped up to the plate and took care of her kids. And we never got really wealthy or anything like that, but she pulled us back from the brink. And so the kinds of things I got from her were strength and tenacity and just owning up to your responsibilities. And then I had the creative side too, which was nice.
There you go. That's awesome.
It's always nice to have the creative side of things, Some
Good,
people
better,
don't get that
different.
chance.
She's everything. I'm the good and the bad with her. So
There you go.
The good and the bad. I understand that. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So now may we ask how? I mean, we've already got you how you got into puppetry. Now we just normally go into the shows. Normally get into the shows.
Yeah.
So
the
what
actual
I'm hearing-
shows.
Yeah.
Well, I was.
Yeah. Continue. Sorry. I said continue.
From what you're hearing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying, in terms of getting into the shows, I started pretty much in high school, just trying to find a way that I could bring a little money into the house and help out and have a good time doing it. And things were really limited at home. I mean, we barely had a car. I didn't have a bicycle, so it was really hard to find a way that I could get a part-time job and all that stuff. So I started doing birthday parties. I put together a little show, and I did that. I wound up doing that for about 11 years, and it kept bringing in a little bit of money on the weekends. It was only $5 or $10 here and there, but sometimes it made the difference whether or not we would eat. And I would keep a couple of dollars to rebuild the puppets, and it was just very, very slowly getting to the point where once I graduated high school, I had already done a little bit of public access, public access television, and some really local commercials. And once I graduated high school, I was very lucky to get right in at Bob Baker's. And shortly after that, Muppet Movie opened. So within about 2.5 years of deciding I wanted to try this, I had put together a little show, done a little bit of television, done professional children's theater, and worked on a major motion picture.
Yeah.
So I walked away from that pretty well equipped, and deciding, this is where I need to be. Where, how, doing what, I wasn't sure yet. But I had a chance to try all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest stepping stone.
Wow.
Nice. The Muppet movie is classic, and I love it.
Yeah.
I know you and Steve Whitmire from it.
Well, I just posted online that it was October 23rd was the 45th anniversary of the day we shot the Rainbow finale.
Oh.
I think I saw it. That's insane.
Yeah, that's.
But it's a classic, and it's one of the best movies out there.
It is classic. That is classic.
So yeah.
It is, and it's the part that I'm a little bit unnerved about is the fact that people are coming to me saying, I wasn't born yet, or that was part of my childhood, and or they weren't alive when Jim Henson was alive, and that's really strange to me because, quoting a Disney Imagineer, she always says about herself when she got into her 80s and 90s, I'm still 18 from the neck up. So it does seem a while ago, but it seems like I just did that. And it's like, what are you talking about? Oh, yeah, that was a while ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, all these things were, a while ago. The good stuff was a while ago. I mean, we mentioned this before, before you came in, I think, we mentioned that, well, there's not a lot of puppet shows like this anymore. So.
There isn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's between CG and just public taste. It's
Yeah.
really hard. I mean, I don't feel sorry for myself because I never really had, the big projects. I had one or two, but
Mhm.
I know people that have won Emmys, and they're calling me looking for work, and that's not right. You know.
Yeah. Is that right? Like Don Quixote and Sesame Street are the only two puppetry shows I
Yeah,
think right now. Actually.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think.
it's still out there, but I don't think it's at the level of quality, and I don't think that puppeteers are treated as well than when Jim Henson was kind of running things.
Yeah.
Um, I don't
Yeah.
know. I just had a little passing, experience with them, but I've been on enough sets when you're not just treated as well, and the way I've always looked at special effects is that it's you know puppets are one more crayon in the box. It shouldn't all just be CG or AI or whatever they're using now. It doesn't
Mhm.
all have to be green
Yeah.
screen. It doesn't. I think
Yeah.
special effects in general work the best in a film or a television show when you use uh, more than one tool.
Mhm.
One of the movies that
Oh,
talking about Halloween that I like is the Eddie Murphy Haunted Mansion film.
Oh
Not
yeah.
a
oh
Oh
yeah.
great
Awesome.
Oh
film,
yeah.
yeah.
Great
and
movie.
and I'm not a
Yes.
huge Eddie Murphy fan, but the fact that they built those sets and they did those costumes and they had practical effects on the set and they
Oh
used
yes.
makeup and
Oh
then they
yes.
enhanced it with the CG for the
Mhm.
ghost effects.
Mhm.
That's when you walk away saying that was a good special effect film. Too much of it is all just one thing, and it gets boring, and people wise up to it, and they know it's what
Mhm.
it is. So I
That's
think that the
incredible.
trick
Yeah.
and the way Jim Henson always worked with his puppets was they would set up a longer scene in a film, but they would use different techniques for doing it. How are they doing it now? How are they doing it now? Here it was a marionette. There it was a hand puppet. There it
Yeah.
was a person in a suit. And so you fool the audience. It's a misdirection. It's a magic trick. And so when
Mhm.
you're only hitting that one note, people wise up pretty fast.
Mhm.
But the trick is to kind of keep fooling them and, oh, how are they doing that? How are they doing that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think it's a loss when you say, well, nobody's interested in that. We're only going to do this. Great for animators, not good for
Yeah.
puppeteers.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, may I actually ask,
Yeah.
how did you get into the
Mm.
Muppet movie? Like, how did you get into the Muppet movie?
Yeah.
Like, how did
How
you?
did the you want me to reword it? How did the Muppet movie come about for you?
Well, I had been writing fan letters to most of the puppeteers. Thank God I did, since so many of them are gone now.
Yeah.
And Jim, of course, was one of them. I
Mhm.
pretty much grew up with his stuff. Um, I was born in '59, and
Oh
he
wow.
had only started in '55. So, except for the really early local stuff, I pretty much saw
Wow.
most of what he had done on television,
Yeah.
including the early commercials that played nationally, and
Mhm.
Ralph on Jimmy
That's
Dean. And I
incredible.
was there for the premiere of Sesame and all the early specials and guest appearances and talk shows. My mom would let me stay up late and watch the Tonight Show if I
Yeah.
was 5, 6 years. She didn't care if I had school the next
Yeah.
day. She knew I wanted to see them.
Yeah.
Um, so I started writing to Jim, and he was very nice in writing me back, and we corresponded for a bit there until Muppet Show took off, and then he didn't have time for anything. And I found out that they were shooting the original Muppet movie out here in Hollywood, and I kind of figured it was going to be New York or maybe Europe or something,
Yeah.
but I heard it was in Hollywood. And my mom, who was always supporting me, she would say, "Go call, go try. All they can say is no," right? So I just called the office and just asked for the production office, and I got a woman who was handling his mail, income and outcome, lady by the name of Lynn Klugman, who I believe she's passed away. I'm not 100% sure of that. I know she's not with the company anymore,
Yeah.
but she handled all the
Um,
correspondence. And I called up the office and I said, "I don't know if you know me. My name is Tim Barnes." And she says, "Hi, Tim. How are you?" And I said, "Is there any way in the world, because I know it's a closed set. I know the press is not allowed. I know nobody's saying anything. Is there any way
mm.
in the world I could just visit for 10 minutes?" And she said, "Well, let me check just to make sure. I'll get back with you." And she calls back the next day, whatever it was. And she said, "Tim, Jim would love to meet you."
Oh wow.
So I went down to the set, and It was when they were shooting interiors. They had just started shooting interiors. They
Yeah.
started with the screening room set. And went to the office. Lynn walked me down to the set, and everybody was there that day. I mean, everybody was pressed into service because they had all the characters up there in the screening room. And
Oh.
she's
Oh, wow.
standing next to me, and she's kind of nudging me. She's saying, Jim's under there somewhere. And Michael Frith heard her and said, everybody's under there somewhere. So I'm just watching this, just trying to stay in the background and not screw anything up. And the first time I see Jim, he walks into
Yeah.
Kermit. And then
Oh.
so I first saw Kermit working, and then I saw Jim. So for me, it couldn't have been more perfect. I know everybody who's ever met him probably has that experience of, oh, I met him on a set, he was directing,
Yeah.
or I met him in a business meeting, he was running things. For me, this was perfect. To see all the characters, to see Kermit, and then see Jim. It couldn't have been any better. He came over and he chatted with me a little bit, but he was so swamped that day, he really couldn't give me the time that he wanted to give me, which was unbelievable to me. I couldn't breathe around him. And but he gave me some little things to do on the film. He put me to work right away. He said, you want to throw some popcorn around in the scene? You want to do this? They actually wanted me to hold up Scooter in a scene because Richard Hunt had something else to do. And then they decided not to do that. So I almost got in that scene. I didn't. And he said, why don't you come back another day when I can talk? And so he invited me back down. And the second day I came in, Mel Brooks was shooting. That was the cabin scene.
Oh, wow.
And Charles Sterling was there. Mel Brooks is like my comedy idol. So
Yeah.
I love
That's
Mel
awesome.
Brooks.
getting better and better.
He's incredible.
He asked me if I would help out block a scene, and so I kind of got onto the set and just held my hand up so they could light. And he wasn't working that day. He was kind of kicked back. And then when there was a little break in the action, he called me over and we sat down and we talked for maybe 10 minutes. So I had him all to myself for about 10 minutes. And then finally, when they were getting ready to do the finale scene, he said, why don't you come in again, and we need bodies. And they called me. Lynn again called me and said, Tim, you're finally going to get your chance to puppeteer with us. And that's
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that's a
and
great
I have
story.
production stills if you want to see them.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, sure.
well, that's cool. We'll
I just
describe it
happen to
for
have. These are on my social media, so if anybody really
Yeah.
wants to see these better,
Yeah.
they can take a look.
Yeah,
Maybe some
Yeah.
of you have already seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
I don't know
There
if you
it
can
is.
see all this.
Alex, look at that.
Oh,
That is us
That
blocking
really
the
cool.
scene.
Wow.
Amazing.
You can see Jim and
That's
Frank
so
directing
cool.
us. I think
Frank
I'm
Oz,
up in the
Wow.
upper left-hand corner somewhere in the background. We all had our numbers. I believe I was number 43, if I
Oh,
recall.
Okay. Oh, so they had you on
And then-
numbers?
Mm.
They had you on numbers during the set? Wow.
Yeah, they had us gridded. The floor was gridded off so that we could, because we rehearsed on one stage, and then we had to walk to another one, so we had to know where to stand.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all assigned numbers.
Oh, that's cool.
I think there was actually 4 to a number. So
That's awesome.
I was in the Sesame Street group, and once we got onto the set, this was almost my view of what I saw most
Oh
of the night.
wow.
Wow.
Mm. Wow.
And Jim, of course, is co-directing.
For those listening, check him out on Tim's Instagram. Because
And I'm not sure how this picture got taken, but I'm just a little bit off to the left there.
Oh wow.
Can't see me. I'm not in the shot, but that was
Yeah.
about my view.
Yeah.
And then this was a photo that Henson said did not exist, and it took 30 years to get a copy, but I did.
Oh wow.
This
Yeah, so
is all
they
of
did
us,
so-
Wow.
and I'm right down here,
Oh, wow. So
and
that's
Jim's
so
about in the middle
That's
there somewhere.
incredible.
But as I say, those are on my social
Yeah.
media, and you can see those better if you want to. So,
Yeah.
and this
let the viewers do it.
this picture of all of our faces is actually on Muppet Wiki.
Oh
They said
wow.
the picture
Wow.
didn't exist, and they're using it on Muppet Wiki. So go to
Yeah.
Muppet Wiki if you want to see the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can go to
Muppet
Muppet
Wiki's
Wiki,
awesome.
folks. That's what we encourage y'all to do. Just go to Muppet
Yeah.
Wiki.
Yeah. And you worked with Steve
Wow.
Whitmire.
And just look up whatever it is, Rainbow Finale, whatever they have it under, and you'll see it come up.
Yeah.
Rainbow
But they
Connection.
argued with me. They said the photo didn't exist. So
There you go. I know, speaking of the Muppet movie, I think it was this year or something, but they re-released it back in theaters. for one time.
Yeah, I know they've been doing the sing-alongs
Yeah,
on occasion, and I think they did bring it out on limited
Yeah.
release for.
yeah.
I don't know if it was the 40. It couldn't have been the 45th anniversary because that would
It
be
was
next
one of
year.
the reviews.
So I don't know. I don't know why that was done, but
It's incredible.
still waiting for the definitive documentary on it.
the behind the scenes. Be cool.
Yeah, I mean, we've already lost like half of the talent, so it's
Yeah,
Yeah, it would be
like I
impossible.
mentioned.
we're down to people like me now. So
Yeah, like I don't know if I mentioned, but I actually had a pleasure of meeting Steve Whitmire, who worked on the film with you. Who's incredible. by
yeah,
the
he
way.
was there. He was.
Yeah,
he
he's
wasn't.
still
Yeah,
around.
what's the one?
Yeah, he wasn't even doing characters. I don't believe at that time. Rizzo hadn't come along, so I don't. I
Yeah.
think he was just doing little background
Yeah.
voices. If that. I know. I don't know who all was on there. I know a lot of puppeteers that were there, but
So many.
John Landis worked on the film. He was there that night,
Yeah,
and he had just started out.
Tremendous.
I think he was friends with Frank Oz because he had just done.
Yeah.
oh wow.
I think American Werewolf just a few months before, and so and then Tim Burton came in, and he was like 18 years old, and
Oh wow.
so there was a lot of other people there, and people still keep coming up with choreographers or animators or whoever was there that night.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
There you go.
incredible.
Wow. There you go. Have you met any other
So-
puppeteers over the years? Like any of the newer puppeteers, like that came in like the late '90s, early 2000s? You met any of them?
Yeah, for example.
there have been a couple that have come up. A lot of these photos I got from a guy who actually worked that night. I don't know how he got them, but we hooked up online, and he said, "Oh, you worked that too? I was there that night. I have some photos." And I said, "Well, I have some things," and we swapped them online, and that's how I got a lot of those photos that Henson said didn't exist. And
Yeah.
I've been looking for them for like almost 40 years, and
Dang.
I popped up in the attachment, and I about had a heart attack. I'm going, my God, this is what I've been looking for since 1978. So, so he was helpful, and I've met a few other people that did work it.
And I know the Muppets are still around because Muppet Mayhem premiered this year on Disney Plus.
Mhm.
which is-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of hope that they really start doing some quality work. I mean, seems to be struggling.
Yeah.
And, I support them, but I'm not really that big a fan anymore
Mhm.
for whatever
And
reason.
that's
I mean, I
okay.
don't want to point fingers at blame, but
It's fine. We respect your opinion.
We respect your opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Do any of you? It's just been me and Wyatt that have been asking questions. Alex or
Yeah.
Martin? Do any of you guys?
Alex. Alex, do you have a question? You can ask about the Muppet
Oh.
Show. He had a thing and stuff.
no, I didn't get to go to England. That's for sure.
Oh, that's where it was done.
I know people who did. I know people who worked the film, and they went right off. So I mean, as I've been a little bit older, a little bit more experienced, I might have been offered something.
There you go.
Kathy Mullen got a job that way. She came in not doing anything with puppets, and
Oh,
a couple
nice.
years later, she's doing Cura. So
Wow.
Alex, do you have a question?
So, do you have any like Jeff Dunham like merchandise that you
Yeah,
got?
there you go.
do I have any
What's my-
merchandise? I
Jeff
most of it is-
Dunham.
I have a box full of things that came out at the time.
Oh wow.
No.
I'm trying to think of something kind of really unique or something. I got the original album and the books, and I'm really into books and at the time LPs as far as collectibles. I didn't bother too much with the dolls and things like that. When the Art of the Muppet exhibit came out, the original tour, which I think was around 1980, I'm guessing, it came out to the California LA Museum of Science and Industry. And I was working as a teacher's aide at the time, and I must have seen that exhibit 40 times, taking every classroom down there. And I was giving these impromptu tours, and finally they saw what I was doing, and they called me in the back and gave me a whole handful of tickets, comp tickets, because they knew I knew all about the shows and everything. And they had a store set up, and they had a lot of the merch from Europe that you couldn't get here. So I bought some little PVC figures and things that just were, you couldn't
Get anywhere else?
you couldn't get that here in America. So
There you
Yeah,
go.
here in America, yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can get a lot of things in Europe. There's a lot of things in Europe that you probably could not get here in America, and I'm jealous about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of do got a viewer question, so it's not really a viewer, but a co-host question because I know Purple is not here, and I know he probably want to know about this. But you did the live show theater consultant for Barney Live. What was that like?
no, I didn't work it. I
It's
didn't
on
work
your
Barney.
resume.
Did anybody work Barney?
I thought you did. It's on your resume.
Oh.
Oh my god.
It's on your resume. You sent it to me. I'll send it after. Because it was the Universal show.
Oh.
Day in the Park.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, there you go. Purple's in trouble.
Oh my.
Anyway, never mind. Never mind. I
Oh,
thought
my.
you did, 'cause it's
They
on your
didn't do
resume.
anything
You
for
sent it to me.
Barney. Oh my. There's an
You need to
error.
fix that
Oh.
thing.
Hey Martin, you got
Yeah.
a question?
Oh, yeah. Actually, this one is about the Muppet movie. Even though we just discussed it. So I know you puppeteered one of the Twiddlebugs. I think her name was Tessie or something like that. So what was that like?
Puppeteering on the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
It was interesting. It was challenging. It was a very long day. It took all day to get about 43 seconds of film. They decided
Oh.
to shoot it two different
Oh, wow.
ways. The shot that you see in the film was the earlier shot we did. The rainbow was actually a scrim that covered wall to wall of the soundstage, hung from the ceiling, and they shot through the scrim, and what you see is a scrim, a painted rainbow. They were thinking of using an optical effect, so we broke for dinner. They bought us dinner, which was nice, and we came back after dinner. They had pulled down the scrim, and we had to do it again without the scrim, thinking they might use it as an optical, but that shot they didn't use. So technically, we could have left at 6, but I didn't get in until midnight, and it was a long day. I couldn't even tell you how many takes were there. I managed to. The nice thing about it is when we were on break, Jim knew how interested we were in the puppets, and even though they had the so-called special puppets, the Kermit and Piggy, that little core group, up and away, we couldn't touch them. They virtually let us play with all the other puppets. So that was actually more fun than the actual work we did in the film, because I got to try out most of the Muppet characters and see how they were built and see how they felt, and learned a few things about my own building that I was able to incorporate. And really appreciate the figures. You know, you can see them in a museum, but they're kind of restored, and
That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And he froze.
Oh, he froze. Oh, wow.
Oh.
Oh, dang. I think he froze. Oh, well.
His connection.
There we
work?
go. There we go. There we go. There we
There we
go.
go.
Y'all, I am
we
so
are
sorry.
having a tremendous
There
amount.
we go.
I apologize. We're having a tremendous amount of wind here in California, and it's been dealing with the power.
Happy Halloween!
We've had trucks up and down the street, so I apologize for that.
Happy fucking Halloween.
But so go back to this.
All
If you
right.
let me know if you're still
Okay,
recording.
sorry everybody. We had some technical difficulties.
I know how to introduce this.
So this
This
has
is what
been-
editing is for. This is where your editing skills come
Yeah, yep. I'm gonna have to edit. This happened for like 10 or 12 minutes.
in.
Yeah.
This is like
If
the
you're still
biggest.
recording.
This is the biggest technical difficulty I've had. I've had very minor ones, but what I was able to get, but
Yeah.
this has been the biggest one. I'll talk about this
I got
later.
it.
I'll talk about it later. But
Yeah.
what were you saying before? You know what? I think I forgot what we were talking
Yeah,
about.
what were you saying before?
We were talking about shooting, puppeteering, actually, in the Muppet movie.
Oh yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Oh yeah, brother.
I forget exactly where I was at, but
Wherever
Jim
you were.
allowed us to try out most of the puppet characters because he knew we were fans and he knew we weren't going to break them. And so as a result, I got to play around with, many different Muppet characters. And that was kind of almost better than being paid. So
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Nice. So I'll introduce this.
it was almost surreal, seeing these characters that you grew up with, seeing them only on television or in film, and then actually holding them and, helping to bring them to life a little bit. I mean, it was very, very strange.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So something that we do that most podcasts don't is we let our viewers ask questions, and I know Samuel has some for you.
Yes, I
from the
believe
viewers.
Tori Benson has actually
Tori
questions,
Benson.
and I think we're gonna probably redo these questions when we interview Stepney tomorrow. Stepney is another person. Yeah, we're gonna redo her question again, and she says, "What's your favorite thing about the work that you do?" She always asks. She's very nice. She always has that. So what's
Tough question. She's nice.
Mhm.
Oh, gosh. I mean,
You stumped him, Tori. Good job.
first and foremost, it's the people that you work with and you meet, obviously. It's always interesting. I've met, nice people. I've met horrible people. And it's always, I find that part of it fascinating, dealing with every temperament and every ego. There's very little that you can throw at me that I'm not familiar with in that way. Then I just like the whole creative process. It's, I like being offered a challenge. Can you do this character? Can you perform this job? And assuming you can, or you can't and you step aside, then it becomes that untying the knots and finding the way with it. And that can go on, forever, depending on how complex the job is. Puppeteering with somebody is kind of a combination of that. You get to work with somebody great, and then you have to find that spot when you get to kind of perform with each other.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's magic when it works. I've had that on more than one occasion. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then her second question is, do you have any hidden talents? If so, what are they? That's a good question. Dang. I've never heard anybody ask these questions.
That's a very good question. I coming up and working alone and not having an early apprenticeship when I was in my teens, or an uncle who could take me by the hand and take me through this, you wind up doing most things yourself, and you become, in my case at least, kind of a jack of all trades and master of none. I did learn about building. I did learn a little bit about acting, but I could not make my living as a builder as such. I mean, I have some puppets to show, and you'll see that they're not great, but it gives you an understanding of how puppets should be built, so that when you work with something, you can tell immediately, this is good, or this is good for me, or we're going to have to change that. That's part of it. It's kind of like acting. I know comedy, but that doesn't make me a stand-up comedian. I can tell when something's funny or not. I can tell when something's working or not. I don't consider myself a writer, although I've written for television. So you wind up kind of skirting the issue, and it's sort of like a really great buffet. You go and you sample and you nibble and you try, and I like this, and that's a good combination. I'll have more of that. No, I don't care for that. And you wind up doing what's right for you. I mean, if I'd only been a puppeteer and didn't know anything about building or anything about anything else, I wouldn't have worked. But the fact that I can kind of talk my way in, or I can kind of stumble through something, and I do okay with it. I wish I did great with it, but I think that I can get through it. And I think that I'm I have strengths, I have weaknesses, and and you just pick up and use what you can along the way.
There you go.
There you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And she says for her last question, this is her third question, and I think we've already inspired this before. I mean, it's probably technically easy. Who were your biggest inspirations? And that's technically easy because we went over that. We actually just went over that.
Yeah.
Well, I think obviously everybody who ever entertained me, Jim, of course, was huge because of the artistic quality he came in. His puppets didn't look like anything else that was happening out there. But I love the Kuklapolitans. I started out as a ventriloquist. Paul Winchell was huge to me, and I got to know him a little bit.
Nice.
Voice actors in animation were like my stars. I got to meet Mel Blanc, and I knew June Foray a little bit, and I would listen to them and copy their voices and learn kind of how to use your voice or kind of steal a voice and adapt it and use it for a puppet character. Just everyone who's ever entertained me, actors, comedians. It doesn't just have to be puppeteers.
Yeah.
Puppetry is a very specific field.
Absolutely.
And if you're going to be doing improv comedy, or you're going to be doing voices, or you're going to be playing characters and not just doing, marionette reviews with showgirls kicking up their heels, that's manipulation, and that's important to know. And I'm not minimizing that. But if you're going to put on a puppet character and somebody says, how would this character talk? Or can you be funny in this? Or can you play this? You better be able to pull up something. And there's not that many great puppeteers out. So you wind up pulling from voice actors or comedians or whatever. I mean, if you have to steal or borrow or whatever, it's all good. It all goes into the pot. And ultimately, if you make it yourself, if you make it yours, then it's more of a inspiration rather than a ripoff.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you wrote for some television. May I ask what you wrote for? Because I think you might have wrote for some things for the Muppets, but I don't know.
Yeah, what did you write for? Like, what show did you write for?
Well, I started, as I said, in public access television, which is really easy to put down and roll your eyes and say, gee, that's really lousy. It's like anything else. Steve Allen said that only about 10% of anything is any good, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And most of public access, which was big in the 80s and 90s when cable kind of first came in, most of it was not very good. We were really lucky. I knew someone who was a kid actor and a model, and I had a background in performing, and we knew people who were actors and stuff, so we came in and our product was better. And we knew how to write for television. We knew how to do that kind of thing. That was where I sort of cut my teeth of scripting out a story and putting it and seeing how it played on camera. It was too long. It was too wordy. This was good. That was not. You learn how to edit next time. What was strange for me was when I was working on the Dick Clark pilot, they allowed me to sit in with the writers for that because I was doing the lead character in that. And they had to get to know me. We put that thing together so quickly, they didn't know who I was or what I was capable of. And I got to sit in with them. And these people wrote for Bob Hope. They wrote for Lily Tomlin. They wrote for Dolly Parton. Go on and on and on and on and on. And I'm sitting at the table contributing ideas to them or saying that would work for me or that wouldn't work for me. I had no business doing that, but I had to be there because we were shooting this the next day. And when we would get the pages the next day, or we would actually do it, I would see my lines written in there, and I'm going, my God, I'm writing for television,
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Which again was kind of surreal. It was understandable, but it was very strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's hey, anything from television, anything can work. I mean, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That particular project, we just kind of threw everything at the wall and we'd fix it in editing because there was just no time. We didn't have time to make it pretty, to make it right. And they trusted me to try things. And if it worked, we leave it in. If it didn't, we cut it out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of trial by fire, but it was fun and it was exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Alex, I feel like you have a question over there.
I do.
Go ahead and ask
Do
it.
And what's the question?
Do you know who Jeff Dunham is?
I'm sorry?
Do you know who Jeff Dunham is?
Yes,
Dunham.
Jeff Dunham. I've never met him, but yeah, I saw him when he was kind of first starting out and sort of struggling. He was on the Tonight Show and making a name for himself, but it took a long time for him to get to where he is. I like Jeff Dunham. He seems to really appreciate puppetry and ventriloquism and not just coming in as a comedian.
Yes.
He's wiggling the dollies to have a career. You know, there's a difference.
Yes.
Too many ventriloquists wind up being in competition with their figures, and if you're going to be doing that, you shouldn't be a ventriloquist.
Oh, so many phones going
Alex,
off.
Alex's
Mine.
clock is going off. Alex has one of those music clocks.
Oh wow.
And then the car.
Oh
Anyway.
wow.
Alex, it's fine.
Oh, don't worry. We're making this fun now. We're making this fun now. You know,
Yeah, but this is fun. Turn back on, Alex.
we're making this fun now. This
So-
is great. This is great.
I have to ask about it. Something you also did besides puppetry and building, you did costume performing like Pac-Man. What was that like?
What was what like?
What was it like performing Pac-Man?
Pac-Man?
Yeah.
Oh, Pac-Man. That was kind of a nightmare situation.
Oh boy.
Um,
Oh boy.
Sorry.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I should explain to anybody who doesn't understand this. I had a summer job at Magic Mountain. I was hired as a puppeteer, and I worked about half the summer and did not get along with management because I knew more than they did, and that was not a good situation.
Oh boy.
And
Oh,
which
boy.
is kind of led to a whole other thing.
No.
But about halfway through the summer, we started switching off. We kind of got bored doing what we were doing, and I wound up doing the costume characters, the walk-around suits. In those days, this was 1982, they had a group of characters in there called the Trolls, which people who know early days of Magic Mountain understand who the Trolls were. Anybody who's 20 years or under has no idea what I'm talking about. So we were part of the Troll crew. And at that time, Bally had bought into the park. Warner's hadn't, I think they only had a small interest at that time, so they weren't controlling things. But Bally was there, and their characters, of course, were Mr. and Ms. Pac-Man. And they kept promising Pac-Man was going to join us for the summer, and we kept waiting for Pac-Man and waiting for Pac-Man and waiting for Pac-Man. Finally came through about 3/4 of the way through the summer, and I was off the day that the costumes got delivered. And the very next day, the management came in and said, okay, Pac-Man's got to go out and do an appearance. Who wants to do it? And nobody raised their hand. That should have been a clue. And I said, oh, I'll do it. And got into this ludicrous suit, which had to be, it looked great. It really looked great.
Yeah, it does look
From
great.
a design standpoint, it was the single worst thing I had ever worn.
Yeah.
Beyond weighing an absolute ton. At the time, I was about maybe 118, 120 pounds. This thing had to weigh twice that much. And you couldn't see out. It was horrible. It was one of the worst designs I had ever seen in a costume character. And I'd worn enough of those, mascot characters and things like that where I know how they should be done. And I came back from a 15, 20-minute set because when Pac-Man went out, it was anarchy because it was at the height of Pac-Mania, and you couldn't have him out for more than just a few minutes because you were mobbed. And I walked it back to the trailer, and I collapsed for about an hour. I could not lift my arms. I was that tired from it. So I did it a couple of times, but that was enough for me. So.
Yeah. Hey, very interesting story. I mean, we've had, there's people out there that's not the best, but, hey, you managed to get through it, At least you survived.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate because the management was having us do things that were physically dangerous in the park.
Oh, wow.
And people were getting hurt. And they were getting hurt on my watch.
No.
And I was not going to have that.
No.
Because, you can only imagine where that would lead to. So I just started saying, no, we're going to do things my way. And they didn't like that too well. So
Oh,
but
Mm.
my people were happy and they were safe.
there you go. That's
Yeah,
the
there
best
you go.
part.
No, no,
There-
no.
there-
You can't have people doing that. No, no, no.
Yeah,
No.
You can't
It's
do that.
messed
That,
up.
that just sounds so wrong. I'm sorry. That just
Yeah.
sounds
It is.
wrong.
It does sound
Yeah, we're
wrong.
sorry.
Well, I asked one time why the supervisor was telling us to do these things. And someone who had been there a couple of years, kind of under their breath, said, well, they've never done the job. And I said, what do you
Wow.
mean? They've never been in a character suit in the park with guests doing those sets in those places and the ways they're telling you to do it. So they have no idea how easy it is to trip and fall or hurt someone or bounce into a child or whatever. These character suits were not very well designed. It was very easy to wrench your back. Had no clue. They were totally clueless, and they were having us do these things almost like guinea pigs. And it's one thing to be kind of abused by guests. You kind of expect that. But
No.
it's another thing
No.
when you're falling downstairs or you're in
No.
very unsafe working conditions.
No. That sounds like.
So we got around that real fast.
There you go.
No, that's no. That's a no.
But again, another good life experience, you know.
That's
Mhm.
that's a good part.
Mm-hmm. We've all basically have had that before. Like if you're in your 20s or something now, I'm like almost 23. I'll be 23 in about another month. So
I'll be 27 next year.
so throughout
Yeah.
my under 23 years, I've experienced some similar things. I mean, I'll be honest. I was in a group home for about it's not a group home, but it's I don't call it a group home, but maybe a boarding house, and they there were some there were some things that a few of the house managers did that were not okay. They were a bunch of they were my skin colored African American women, not trying to be racist or anything, and they would
Yeah.
sometimes I think one of them
Yeah.
went by my arm. We were having a conversation. One of them I didn't need to be in the conversation. One of them grabbed my arm and they did that, and that's. I just said no. I will not stay in something like that. No.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah,
we're not
understandable.
children. We're not a child. We are grown men. You treat
Exactly.
you treat us with respect. You treat us like that.
Absolutely.
No, it's just like
Absolutely.
similar to what
Treat us
you
better.
had. And
Yeah,
if you
it's
guys want
in the
more
end,
about
it is play acting, and the emphasis, of course, is play. The best things come from when people are happy and productive. It's not about ego and power to me.
I mean, people should not
Everyone
make you do
contributes
things
and
like
everyone
that.
benefits.
So, if anybody's watching this is a very life lesson. This is a life lesson you can learn here. There are things.
Yeah.
There are things
Yeah.
in life that seem okay, but then you realize once you get in there, it's not okay.
No.
So,
Mm.
No,
that is a very big life
No,
lesson.
I've had my share of working with Ed Woods of one type or another. So
That's great. All right. Does anybody have any more questions, or you want to look for his resume? Because apparently you have his resume, Wyatt. So
it's in the podcast chat.
It's
I
in the
closed it out.
podcast chat?
Oh, yeah,
Okay, you
it's in.
closed that out. It's in the
It's fine.
podcast chat.
No, I
Well,
don't.
I mean, hey, after all the difficulties and everything like that, I'm like, oh wow. This was actually.
All right, here's the
pretty-
question. This does not get talked about. I was on another nostalgia-based podcast, not bringing that one up. I had to bring it up. Not saying the name. But this was never asked to puppeteers. Is there any advice out there for people wanting to get into building puppets?
well, you're not going to make a lot of money. So do whatever it is you want to do in life and in your career. Excuse me. Because you're happy and because you want to, and not because you think you're going to make $1 million or be a star.
Yeah.
I always did this. I'm not motivated by money. I'm not interested in numbers.
Yeah.
It's necessary. You need it. No dough, no show. Should be called business show. I get it. I understand that. I've had to turn jobs down because I couldn't afford to take them or I would have lost money.
Yeah.
That's very frustrating to me because I love to work and I love to create. And that should be the motivational factor. You can always get a job on the side and sing or write or dance or puppeteer or do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
and pretty much be happy.
Yeah, you can
There's not a
always
lot of
be
avenues
happy.
to explore anymore.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of theater, not a lot of television, not a lot of film happening.
Yeah.
So you're not going to work a lot. But if you get the occasional job and you enjoy doing it, and you can put a couple bucks in your pocket, fine, do it. You know.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I mean, hey, I mean, you still get paid. I'm sure you get paid good money just even for puppeteering, but it depends on how the scene is, you know. You get
Yeah.
Well,
you
I
get
think
paid
things
good
were a lot
money
better
for
when
doing
Jim
certain
Henson
things.
was alive and Aaron Oscar was running the Puppeteers Caucus for Screen Actors Guild. People were treated top dollar, top level, good working conditions, good money. Um, it's like anything else; they're going to get away with, you know, paying what they can. You know, and
Absolutely.
puppeteers can be replaced. We're just all wigglers. You know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Yes. Puppeteers can be replaced. You know.
Hmm.
It's but
Like Steve
it's
Whitmire.
Yeah.
it's always still a fun thing to do. You know. So it's always a fun thing
Mhm.
though. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and, you know, I'm glad that you know
Yep.
you were able to work for that. I mean, like I said, like you know,
Same.
we've had people that have already confirmed to us and just said, you know, hey, if you're into acting, if you're into voice acting, you know, I recommend, you know, if you have a favorite show that you like, I would say probably double with that. Do a fan, start off with a fan dub. You know, I know with copyright it might be a little, you know, iffy, but you know, I just say just do what you like. I mean, personally, I do a lot of
Exactly.
fan dubs. So if you guys, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you guys that follow me have seen them. And then I've also done a small production for
Yeah.
somebody on YouTube, a small YouTuber that I do, and I voice act for him, and his stuff's pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would
Yeah,
just
I mean,
say.
if you enjoy what you do and you learn something and can add that to your skill sets, it's good. I remember when they would always interview Lucille Ball and ask her about her early days because when she came to Hollywood, nobody knew what to do with her. Here was this attractive brunette in those days who was very smart and very funny, but they didn't know how to cast her. So she wound up doing a lot of showgirls, background characters, a lot of bad girls, a lot of they didn't know what to do with her. And someone asked her, "Did you mind doing all of those things of taking Seltzer from the Three Stooges or catfighting with a young Maureen O'Hara?" And she said, "Not at all, as long as she learned something from it. And if
There you
she
go.
learned something from it, there was value to it. She was never ashamed of it." And
Absolutely.
she obviously used that later on in her career.
Yeah. I've,
Someone did ask her, "What did you learn from the Three
Yeah.
Stooges?" She said, "The only thing I learned from them was how to duck."
there you go.
There you
Mhm.
go. There you go. I mean, hey, what have I learned? And you know, I've just learned over the times that over you know these years of learning about entertainment. You know, getting older, going back to through nostalgia over the next 10 years. You know, watching shows that I knew existed. You know, and
Yeah.
people, puppeteers and actual voice actors like you, they change their voice. They don't have a regular voice. They change their voice. You
They
know,
do.
I it's actually been the
Yeah.
puppeteers. Sometimes now with other movies, most movies they hire actual celebrities to come in and voice the characters. But for like TV shows, that people change their voices. They don't have a particular
Yeah.
character for them in the booth,
They
like saying,
voice that.
"Okay, we need you to. Okay, the character's in the back there. You need to record the character." Because that's mainly
Sure.
what they do to celebrities, and I saw that over the behind the scenes over the years, like Despicable Me, and then there's, let's see, a lot of the Disney stuff.
Yeah.
What they do, they don't they just make most of the time they have just one person doing one character. They don't get a lot of people doing one character. If actual voice actors in
Yeah.
TV shows,
Oh,
they
yeah.
do multiple characters, and
Mhm.
I realized
Mhm.
that. I realized that as I watched, more television over the years, and I'm like, wow, people that do video games and stuff like that, they get paid. And I even found out that most celebrities actually don't do the video games. I found that out in recent years. Most
Yeah.
celebrities don't do that. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
June Foray and I used to talk about that, and her biggest complaint was that they were hiring celebrities instead of voice actors for movies, which she understood because you can't spend $500 million on an animated film and then hire nobody to do the lead character. Nobody's going to line up around the block, unless the story and the characters are so strong, it's a guaranteed hit. So you wind up having to stack the deck and put in all these celebrity voices. And her complaint was she understood that, but that it was taking away work from voice actors and regulating them to second, third tier. And you still make the money, but you didn't get, to say that's my character. I'm just recreating a voice, just kind of keeping it going.
Yeah. And actually, I recently saw this in like an interview. I was watching some YouTube videos one night, and I don't know if you guys remember the show Recess, or I'm pretty sure you guys do.
Yeah.
Recess. So I found this out. Ashley Johnson actually plays two characters in that show, and that was
oh wow.
She plays the girl with the glasses, Gresham. And then she also plays another person that's not really. It's more of a secondary character. Another Ashley, which she voices in, who plays the third Ashley in Recess. Sure. I found that out. That's the only celebrity now I know that actually has done two voices, and I'm like, wow. Most of everybody else that I've seen, like in video games, like if they do voices for video games, they don't do that. Mm-hmm. They don't do that. They hire actual voice actors, and I'm like. Why do they do? I mean, I think you confirmed our answer. Why do they do that? I think it's because of budget reasons, and because they really want people to see or it might be because they want people to see like a brand new film. They want people to see a brand new film with somebody in it, and they want people to get it. I think Disney wants people to see people in a brand new film, so that's why they hire actual celebrities, or they hire I think that's another thing. They want people to see the movie because they want to see their favorite celebrity.
Yeah. Well, sure.
And I think that's why. I don't know if that's 100% sure.
Yeah, they want the name on the marquee. I don't think the audience really cares if they're invested in the story and the characters. Yeah. It's fun. And I think that good comic actors or good singers or something can bring a quality to it that maybe a voice actor can't. So I can see that. I mean, I one of my favorite films is the original Monsters, Inc.
Yeah.
And, they put the two of them, John Goodman and Billy Crystal, together in a room. That's something that's rarely done in animation nowadays. But they needed each other to play off of. So that adds an extra dimension to it that voice actors who are only voice actors might not have.
Yeah.
That's a different quality. So I think it just depends on the circumstances.
And they also voice match. For example, the voice of Poe in Kung Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness is not Jack Black.
Yeah.
So cool.
That was going back to Muppets. It was interesting when Disney took over. They proposed to Jim Henson the idea of just hiring any puppeteers to work the characters and have the main performers just dub in the voices.
Mm-hmm.
And he said no to that for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I know, speaking of the Muppets, I have to bring this up as it's Halloween. Haunted Mansion is a good one. Muppets Haunted Mansion.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen clips of it.
I haven't actually seen that particular one, but I've seen enough of the material where it looked good.
It is good.
It's well received.
It really is good. It's a good film, I'm just very lucky that the Muppets are still doing, short things with, they're able to do short things with the Muppets. They might not make the shows out of them anymore, but they're really good. And honestly, you got to be lucky to, be having jobs like this. I got to say.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, those people went from being overworked to having a lot of time off, though. Now, I mean, Jim was always worried about overworking his people because they were so busy working so many shows around the world at one time. Fraggle Rock and Sesame and Muppet Show, and they were just exhausted at the time. So
Muppets was done in
Fraggle Rock's awesome,
and
same with Sesame and
Fraggle Rock was done in Canada. It was done in Toronto, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Speaking of Fraggle Rock, I know Alex knows this, but they brought it back, and it's pretty good.
Yeah, they did.
They're working on season 2 right now, I think.
It's actually really
good. It's always nice to see when something is being produced because puppeteers are working, so it's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least it's not virtual now. It was virtual at one point. They had to cancel a lot of production.
Yeah.
I know. Speaking of Fraggle Rock, also I had the book somewhere.
Cool.
That book's awesome.
Yeah, Fraggle Rock's pretty great. This has been a very
Yeah,
fun
it-
Well,
episode,
I
guys.
skirted that a little bit. I was working in motion capture for a while and sort of puppeteering a lot of animated characters that they were trying to adapt, and I kind of felt funny about that. But at the same time, it didn't work out anyway, so I couldn't
Yeah.
complain.
They made Frog Rock animated at one point. I know that.
Mhm. Yeah, they were talking about doing Muppets animated for a time.
No, they got Muppet Babies.
But by the same token, they were also talking about doing the Disney characters as animatronic character suits with animatronic heads, and
No.
I was
No.
chomping at the bit to work that one.
No. To be
No,
honest,
please don't. We
yeah,
already
to
got
be
live
honest,
back.
What I would like to see is I would like to see anything. Like I'm sure there's some lost episodes of some of the shows that there's Henson now as the family hub. I would like to see some things out that they haven't released in like years. I would love to see things that the
Yeah.
Johnson Company has released. That's what they need to do. They don't need to worry about a new series right now. Why don't we just get
There's
the old
probably-
series out?
There's probably unreleased episodes of the Bear spinoff because there's not that many out there. I don't think.
Yeah.
AKA Breakfast with Bear.
Yeah, and
So
then
release them, please.
and then earlier I mentioned Animal Jam. They still haven't released
Yeah.
Animal Jam yet.
Release the
know.
episodes. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
I have a petition for it, so if anybody wants
They
to
should
sign it-
also. Yeah, they should also release the Muppet movies that aren't on Disney Plus on Disney Plus. Wizard of Oz is one that's not on Disney Plus.
Oh my
for
god,
example.
yeah, that
Take
one's actually
Manhattan.
pretty good.
Take Manhattan's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now we have to wait for Killer Clowns from Outer Space 2.
There you go. I knew that was happening.
Henson's got to release some stuff, because they may lose some.
I
mean,
forget. Keep going.
Well,
I don't know who it
hopefully
was.
someday.
But there was a
Hopefully
kind
one
of
of these days.
Yeah, there you go.
Again, it's all tied up legally usually, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who it was, but it was kind of a joke. But there was a movie called Killer Clowns of Kansas on crack. From Kansas on crack. It's
Oh.
messed up.
And Happy
The
Time
trailer's out there.
Murders. Oh my god, Happy Time
Yeah,
Murders. That was
Happy
crazy.
Time Murders.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That
I
film
know the
was
Sesame
crazy.
people got mad at them for that.
Yeah.
People got angry with the Henson Company, got frustrated with him about that. I'm like, dang. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, they disrespected one of my favorite characters. They had the waffle puppet there, the cow monkey puppet. They kind of disrespected him. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, poor waffle.
I need to see that movie now just for that.
And I do know that they still use They still use DJ1, the panda, on the show. They still use him
Yeah.
as the Henson block. So that's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been inside the studio before, Mr. Barnes? I'm sure you have.
Which, the Henson studio?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I actually haven't, because when I was there, they were mostly still in New York. They hadn't set up out here. They had a makeshift trailer set up with the puppets and where they were doing the repairs, and I got to see that. And that was a little unnerving, seeing, 2 and 3 Fozzies sitting next to each other, and kind of spoiled it a little bit for me. But
Yeah.
that's as close to the workshop that I
Yeah.
actually saw.
It always happens. Yeah. This has been
Yeah.
a very awesome interview. We had a lot of technical difficulties. Now we're talking about all this stuff. Hey, that always makes it better. That always makes this better.
I have to ask this because
Yep.
yeah, I have to ask this because I feel like it's one of those questions I must ask. Will you come back on the podcast in the future?
Absolutely. Hopefully
There
we'll have
you go.
better connection this time.
Why just find somebody that works with you? That'd be cool having the both of you on.
Yeah.
Sure, we can, anytime.
There you
I
go.
got lots of stories to tell. I'd be happy to share them.
All right.
There you go.
Absolutely. Because I know we had some technical difficulties, and I'm probably like, I don't want to keep this on for too much longer. Because I know we
We're
have
gonna
another
edit some of that
interview
out.
tomorrow.
I think we're actually good now. It's kind of quiet
Okay,
around
well,
here. So
Yeah.
There you go.
If we have anything more to talk about, we can still talk about it. I know we don't have too much long. I know that some of us may have things tonight, but I mean, we still got. I got a good
Yeah.
bit of time on my hands. So.
I don't think I have any more questions.
I mean,
Alex,
well, hit
do
me up
you?
with an email and we'll discuss it, and we'll come up with some good
There you go.
questions and some good stories to
Alright.
share.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, you got any questions? Martin, you? Because I mean, we pretty much Wyatt and I. Pretty much answered the
Not
questions.
really, no.
Wyatt and I. Pretty
Yeah,
much
somebody
answered
else
the
take
What?
over. Alex, ask another question.
Not that I know of.
Nobody has any more questions.
See,
Oh,
Nobody
I'll take
has any
that as we
questions.
covered it so well, you have nothing else to say. Not that you were bored. Or,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty much.
I've done enough
yeah.
Q&A with people that's how I always end it.
I mean, this is the second time that we've had. I mean, you're like this is the second podcast you've been on, so I'm very proud that I'm honored
Yeah.
to be your second.
Yeah.
Be your second
We're the
person.
second. I wonder who the third's going to be. I don't know.
I
No,
mean,
I'm kidding.
can I ask you which podcast you were on in the other one? I don't think I know
Yeah,
it.
'cause you said it.
I can't remember the name of it offhand.
I'll find
I
it, hold
think
on.
I sent out the link
Yeah, you sent it to me. Hold on.
'Cause-
I'll find it.
for you guys to do some research, so maybe you have it.
I have it right here. Genuine Connections.
Genuine Connect. That's right.
Oh.
That's Genuine Connections,
Oh.
and that's an interesting one because they talk to a lot of actors and writers and people like that. It's not
So do
just
we.
performers.
So do we. We talk about everybody, and we talk about everybody. We talk to everybody around the entertainment industry here. We've talked to everybody.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you
Yeah.
did.
And
yeah.
I will share the link to your page so that you get more viewership and
Oh my
Oh,
God,
nice.
produce more
Yeah.
shows.
one of my favorites that we've interviewed. One of my favorite males that we've interviewed. We've interviewed another voice actor, Mark Thompson. This was before they were even on the show. Alex and Wyatt were on the show, and Martin came. We interviewed. We interviewed them and him, and he did. And let me
Yeah.
tell you, his voices were just awesome.
hmm
And then there's another
Yes.
one. Are you aware? I'm pretty sure you might have heard of Ricky Boyd. Have you heard of Ricky Boyd? Yeah, he was Waffle. So he was Waffle on Animal Jam, and he did
was, and he
Muppets
was also
Wizard of Oz too. So
He made an
Yeah.
appearance in Muppets from
Mhm.
Space also.
yeah.
Well,
And
there's a
then,
lot of good up and coming talent. It's just we need a place for them to work. That's
yeah.
all.
And
Mhm.
we've also interviewed the Silver Shears. They were, I don't know. We interviewed the Silver Shears. They did work for Disney and they do stuff for Henson. They're still doing things for Henson.
hmm
Yeah.
And then one of my favorites was off of a PBS show. Her name was Liza. So sweet. Love
Yes.
interviewing her. So sweet. And she was so gentle.
Absolutely.
So I just thought of a question.
hmm
If Henson asked you to come back to work on any project, would you?
If Henson did,
Yeah, the company.
Yeah, I mean, I work is work, and if
There
it's
you go.
something that I would feel that I could really make a contribution to and do well at, there's no point in looking bad and making them look bad. But sure, I
That'd be
didn't have a
awesome.
problem with it.
That would be very
I know it's
Yeah.
very different from when we were there. I
That'd
know
be
a lot of people who have continued on with the company, and everyone has said the same thing, that it's not like it was when Jim was around, but that's not necessarily a bad
Or
thing as
maybe
long
a
as it's
little
professional
after.
and the work is good.
Or maybe
It'd
a
be.
little
I know it's in Canada, but it'd be cool to see you puppeteer on an episode of the new Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
puppeteers on Fraggle Rock.
Yeah, the new one. Because I know
That's
demo.
another one that I haven't actually seen. I
it's,
don't.
it's worth it. It's
I've
good.
seen the little snippets online, and it looks good. I mean,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
work that's coming out of Henson is really, the puppetry is good. The puppets are nice.
It is.
The manipulation, the voices, it's all good. It's just not clicking the way it did when Jim and Frank and Jerry and all the others were there. So it's, maybe the end result isn't as good, but it's not bad. It's just not as
It is.
good as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's like Mary the Big Blue House.
Yeah.
I feel like nowadays a reboot that would be good.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A revival.
I mean, those people who are, working are obviously good enough to work, and I would never put down their work.
Yeah, like
I should be so lucky to be there.
There's so many people.
It's
I
just
can
that
name.
the end result has a different feel to it.
Mhm.
I know when people, when sort of Muppet Central website was up and coming, and the forum was on there, and I started, I was pretty active on that forum, and people were just raving about the new material that was, it's so fantastic. And I'm old enough to, as I say, seen all the early stuff. And when they started releasing, when Henson started releasing some of the early stuff, and the internet was coming along, and the clips were online of the early Sesame Streets and the Tonight Shows and stuff like that, all of those same people said, God, the early stuff was so much better. You know, they only knew the new
Yeah.
stuff. They didn't know the
Yeah.
origins. As I say, a lot of them weren't even alive when Henson died. And so they don't have a connection with it. You know, their Kermit is Steve Whitmire, you know?
He
And
is.
not on a Steve,
Oh
but
yeah.
as Jim's daughter said, Kermit will always be my father's Kermit, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I think they do a good job with it now, but it's not like it used to be. That's all.
Absolutely.
I actually have a
Mm.
photo of me and Steve somewhere because
Hmm.
I got it from GalaxyCon, which I met him at.
All right.
All right, let's end on a happy note now.
Yeah, okay. Well, this has been a
Yeah,
fun
go ahead.
podcast, guys.
Let's
and,
ask the last question. I'm
and,
kidding.
yeah, guys,
Yep.
I have really enjoyed this, and we're gonna ask one more question, and we asked this to all. We've asked this to everybody since episode 11.
I have another question. We have to ask this question, I feel like. If people want to contact you, where can people find you?
Well, I try to make it as really easy as possible. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. Tim Barnes, Puppeteer
Mhm.
On Facebook. Tim Barnes Puppeteer on Instagram.
There you
And
go.
I love to hear from people. And if anybody has questions or want to hear stories or anything like that,
Yeah.
I
And
always
you're
like
right
talking
now.
to people.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's the
And you're on
easiest way to
Threads.
find me.
Yep.
But
And you're on Threads now, too. We'll put all that in the description for
Yeah.
people.
Thank you.
all right, I'll
You're welcome.
I'll try to. But yeah, but my question is this. So this episode since episode 11, since I've interviewed a person by the name of Randy, I've been asking this question, and so we have to ask, what is something that is entertainment treasure to you, no matter if it's an artist, a TV show, a movie, or anything. What is something that is entertainment treasure to you? Which means, what is one of your favorite entertain, like, what is one of your favorite films, something that's a favorite that you just really just love, and it's something that's just
Yeah.
inspired you so
You know,
much.
I wouldn't even know how to answer that because my tastes are really easy. If something is good, I don't care about the genre. I don't care if it's a documentary or a Western or a horror picture. If it's good, I can judge it on that level. I think anything that holds your interest, and is entertaining, and maybe you can actually learn something from, I think is the best. It's golden. Somebody once, I think it was, John Waters, I think he said about Ed Wood's films that he never felt that they were bad films because they were interesting. And an interesting film is not a bad film. A bad film is a bad film. To make a movie for $100 and have it be interesting is one thing. To make a film for $100 million and have the audience walking out because they're bored is another. So
Right.
whatever's entertaining is good to me. I mean, I'm good with Wizard of Oz. I'm good with Psycho. I'm good with the Three Stooges. I mean,
You go on.
I like it all. Muppet movie obviously is always going to hold a place in my heart for obvious reasons. But I would say that even if I didn't have anything to do with it, I think it's a really good film.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's awesome.
I bring this up because I actually did remember this. There's a Jim Henson documentary coming out, and I hope that they include you in it since you worked with him.
Which documentary?
Muppet Man, I think is what it's called, or something like that.
I haven't heard about that one. Don't know anything about that.
We don't know anything about it either, but we know it's coming.
I'm still trying to catch up on Being Big Bird, so I'm a little bit behind the
seen that
documentary.
I saw Being Elmo, but not
Yeah,
Big
that one
Scene.
I've seen.
Yeah.
That one I have.
Yeah, I've seen those.
I'm still playing catch up.
I've seen those.
Dummy Days is very interesting. I got the companion book for that
Yeah.
as well. If you're interested in Invent, and you mentioned Jeff Dunham before.
There you go, Alex.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good. There's one that's kind of obscure on PBS called the American Puppet, which really covers the whole history of early puppetry and how it immigrated from other countries and how we got what we got. A lot of people don't know that. The stories behind it. They just accept it and they don't really question it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well, Tim, thank you for being a part of
Thank you so
my
much.
podcast today. We have had an awesome time. Hey, even though we had technical difficulties, we
Yeah.
still had an awesome time.
Yeah.
I'm glad we could
Well,
get
I
I'll email
appreciate
you
it. Thank you for asking me.
No problem. We
You're
always
welcome.
have
I'll
to
email
have
you.
it.
Come
the
back
link when it comes
anytime.
out.
And then we'll let you know when
Yeah.
this comes
I'll
out.
email
Just-
you the
yeah.
link. I'll let you know so that we can put it on your social media and stuff and
Yeah.
share it with fans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that, and as I say, I will share it so
Thank
everybody
you.
can enjoy this
Muchly
riveting
appreciated.
conversation we've had.
Thank you.
Muchly appreciate if you share my
Hey, Samuel, you
podcast.
gonna? I think you should. I don't know if he's up for it, but you should ask him to do like the intro, like the last guest did, Stefan Ashton Frank.
You
Because
want
remember
him
he
to
said
do
you're
an
watching.
intro? You want him to be like
Yeah, I
a-
mean, so we're gonna use this as a feature probably,
yeah.
but can you say something about welcome to Samuel? Or what? You give him the words.
I
I'll let you do
don't
it.
know. I mean, Stefan Ashton Frank, who was my last
Yeah,
guest, he actually
fine.
did a really good job on it.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you
Yeah.
want to
Alright,
say
yeah.
something to welcome, if you want to
Welcome
say
the
anything.
guest, like because we might use it in a future episode.
Okay, we might use it in a future
Okay,
episode.
what? I didn't know I was have to go to work here, but okay. Well, let's see.
It could be something like
It's
you're
Halloween,
watching.
so I'll put up a scary puppet.
All right.
All right, just say
All right.
something.
Put a nice
You can say
scary
something.
rat puppet.
Oh, look at that, Alex.
That's cool. Oh.
Oh yeah.
All right, here we go.
All right. Here's
Lovely.
this rat.
Okay, what's the line now? And more importantly,
You're
when am I
watching-
getting paid?
You can just say, okay, you're watching another episode of Entertainment Treasure Talk with Samuel Warwick.
Entertainment
Treasure
talk, is it?
Entertainment Treasure Talk.
Treasure talk. Treasure talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell you got us booked?
Next episode for sure. We'll bring it.
They came to us. Yeah, you couldn't leave your room. We know that. Okay.
Oh boy.
Where are we?
Anyway, here we go.
Okay, take one.
Go. Action.
You're watching another episode of Entertainment Treasure Talk. Is that about it?
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Samuel Warwick.
That's good.
That's good.
good.
We'll use
That's
that for
good.
the
We'll
intro.
use that. That's good.
Okay,
That's
now you're
good.
supposed
I
to
wasn't
checks
expecting
in the
anybody
mail.
else to do that. I wasn't really expecting anybody else to do that. But But
Yeah.
Wyatt suggested,
Yeah,
so
I
I'm like,
figured
okay.
we were going to do it.
Can I go now?
Yeah, you can go, Mr. Rat
you can.
guy.
Next, we're definitely having
Mr.
you
Rat
back and maybe you
Puppet.
bring more of your characters out because that was funny as heck and we didn't expect it.
Yeah.
My checks in the mail, right?
Yeah, checks in the mail.
Checks in the mail. Well, this is people who volunteer their time. I don't think I can pay you, but
Yeah, we don't think you pay you.
I've heard that too often. But okay.
it,
Alex has heard that a lot too.
all
He
right.
doesn't
But
get paid.
thank you
either.
guys for joining me.
No, I was
this
happy to help.
episode. Yep. Thank y'all for joining me this episode, and thank you once again, Mr. Tim Barnes, for joining us. It has been a blast as always.
You
and-
are.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk. Hopefully everybody is interested in the next episode because I'm thinking that we're going to have Stephanie. Stephanie, I don't know how to spell her last name, but she's
Yeah.
done a lot of voices and
Nadali.
Nanali. And if you, like I said, if anybody has any questions for her, feel free because we're shooting right after this. Maybe not right after, but this is the next episode. That's the next episode we're shooting.
All right.
So thank you guys for joining
Yeah.
us, and we will see everybody in that episode.
Yeah.
Peace out, everyone, and have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you. You're worth it.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Entertainment Treasure Talk. We hope that you had fun and that you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, maybe you'd like to watch or hear more episodes of the show. The link to the playlist is in the description. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe for more upcoming episodes. And don't forget that you're awesome and that you too are filled with entertainment treasure. See you next time for another great episode of the podcast. Peace out.